We spoke this morning about, I think, something very key, that is what happens in the relationship between climate change and coastal cities. We know that 18 of the 24 largest cities in the world are in coastal areas, and 14 of those are in developing countries. What actually do you do with such a problem? If you are a city administrator in a city like Dar es Salaam, for instance, where you have to deal with malaria, with unplanned influx from the rural area, where in fact there is no city planning or no money or attention or capacity to do so. And you have an additional problem, which is adaptation, short-term, medium-term, and long-term to adaptation change. That is the reality where the administrators, the people in those cities are faced with. And I would say many of the people who fled the rural areas, often because of problems related to climate change or lack of agriculture investment, these people are actually faced with new challenges once they are in the cities because they are living in the areas that are most hazard-prone and they don't have the means easily to protect themselves and their limited assets. So I think it's very important to see what is the poverty relationship with climate change and coastal cities. Let me start by the immediate actions that are needed, because there is some low-hanging fruit. And I agree, low-hanging fruit still costs money, but there's quite an enormous possibility for doing more at the short term. For instance, protection of mangrove forests that are now often taken by the population for sometimes very understandable reasons. There is also the increased necessity to plan in terms of not building in the flooded plains, which I think is a prevention measure, which many cities could, in many cases, already take. And some standards for construction could already be introduced, also in poorer countries. Then there is the more crucial point of what to do in the medium term and the long term, because these are obviously short-term measures that don't immediately solve a problem. We thought actually that it is important, and that's the facts on the ground are not clear. We have now reports which show that 14, 15, in other instances 18 to 19 cities are directly at risk, taking out yet the smaller cities. That doesn't help a city administrator of knowing what to do, because you need much more specific information. What is happening to your city? Which part of your area is being threatened? In which way and when? It's obviously that the billions of dollars that are needed for that require immediate action before our agreement, hopefully in Copenhagen next year, by showing that there are incentives both to the poorest countries and also to the middle-income countries, that public and private money becomes available for these enormous amount of funds that are necessary to really go into the medium and long-term problems of adaptation costs. Adaptation starts today. That's the lesson.